What's up, folks, and welcome back to Dyce React, where we are staying in Australia tonight. Oh yeah, we are going to be checking out never do these 10 things as a tourist in Australia. I want to know. Further side checks one out. We ain't going to waste no more time. We're just going to get right into it, folks. We're going to get right into it. Oh yeah.
If you come to Australia and do any of these 10 things, people won't necessarily say something to your face. Wait, what am I saying? Yes, they will. Australians will almost definitely say something to you. But the worst part about these things, most of them aren't obvious. They are tiny cultural secrets you don't even realise you're breaking until you feel that awkward silence or until someone goes, "Oh yeah, on you, mate. Good on ya." Wait, are you talking to me? No, I'm talking to the other British guy making a YouTube video in my garden. Right. Anyway, so today I'm exposing the unspoken rules that even Aussies forget they follow. Let's get into it. Hey mate, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Sam, a British actor documenting my journey of rebuilding my life in Australia. Now in Australia, I've embarrassed myself more times than I can count. I'm almost like a walking warning sign for other tourists now. Now don't worry, none of the points in this video are going to get you locked up if you break any of them. They're just frowned upon socially. So number one, do not throw Fahrenheit or miles into a conversation. I've discovered that units of measurements are taken very seriously in Australia. Now, if you're completely lost by this, well, some countries like the United States of America, Liberia, Cayman Islands, they use Fahrenheit to measure temperature, whereas in Australia and the UK, you would use Celsius. So in Australia, if you use Fahrenheit instead of Celsius in a conversation with an Australian, they'll probably call you out for it. Probably not in a rude way or anything, but they'll probably, you know, make a bit of fun of you. Now, I didn't think it was that deep, right? Until I started using miles in Australia. So for context, in Australia, you use kilometers, whereas in the UK, we use miles. And to be fair, the majority of the world does use kilometers. So I understand why it's really important to be able to understand both. Now, I'm an avid runner, and having used a lot of British and American training plans, my brain completely thinks in miles when it comes to running. It's just something that's become a complete habit to me. I've mentioned before that, you know, I prefer to think in miles, and even saying that alone, it can rub people up the wrong way. If I could give you a piece of advice, is try not to mention Fahrenheit or miles in Australia. You're not going to get locked up for it. No one's going to shout at you, but people do get a bit aggy about it. I'm not going to lie. Number two is assuming winter isn't cold. But when I officially moved to Australia, winter came, as it inevitably does, and it actually was so chilly that I needed to put on winter clothes. Shock. You're probably thinking, well, Sam, are you surprised that you got a bit cold in winter? Yeah. Actually, yes, I was. In Australia, I thought it was going to be hot in the winter. That was the lie I was led to believe, especially living in Brisbane, Queensland, the sunshine state where it's always sunny and hot, as people like to tell you in the UK. But when it's winter and night comes, you need that heater on, right? Which is also an AC unit. Amazing invention. You're getting into your doona, you're getting a bit cozy, and it's lovely. Even in the UK, it's kind of hammered into you by other people. Like, oh, you're off to Australia, oh, you're gonna be boiling, you're gonna be sweating the whole time. Even in winter, mate, yeah, it's lovely there. And there is nothing worse than being cocky about, you know, oh, I'm gonna be on the beach the whole time, and then you get there and you're actually shivering in your little Airbnb. So make sure you do your research on where you're going to in Australia. If you know you're going somewhere like Tasmania, where it iconically gets very cold, and especially if you're going in autumn and winter, definitely.
Really? I didn't know Tasmania got so cold, because the way that I've seen the show about this Tasmania place is always sunny and dry, especially in the cartoons that I grew up watching. Never cold. I can't remember they ever showing like a cold scene of Tasmania. That's interesting.
Iconically gets very cold, and especially if you're going in autumn and winter, definitely pack some winter clothes, okay? The kangaroos and koalas might not be shivering, but you definitely will be. Number three, never do the cliche Australian lines, you know, like, oh, put another shrimp on the barbie. And definitely don't mock Australians by quoting H2O, just add water, where you go, nar, clear. And the reason why I say that is, as a very, you know, naive Brit, when I first met my Australian wife, I was, you know, trying to show off and impress her a little bit while we were dating and getting to know each other. And I would say a few of those cliche things that you do as a tourist because you think it's going to make other people, especially Australians, laugh, like, oh, you get us. And she would just politely, but very awkwardly laugh. The more time went on, I realized, maybe she's just very polite and I'm actually not that funny. And my wife would agree, Australians are just tired of hearing all of those cliche lines like put another shrimp on the barbie, which was from this iconic tourism ad to get more people to come to Australia. And the locals will have heard it a million times before from thousands of other tourists like yourself, and you might get an awkward sympathy laugh, but no one's really having a good time, if I'm being honest. So just be yourself, you get way more laughs that way, and you're more likely to make mates with other Australians if you do so. Number 4 is never go out without your hat, your sunglasses, and your sunscreen. Of course, we all forget to do these things from time to time. You can automate all of this by literally putting your sunglasses, your hat, your keys, and your sunscreen right by the front door. You can literally slip, slop, slap that sunscreen, put the sunnies on, put your hat on, get the keys, and you're good to go. It really is that easy. Now, I could almost guarantee that there's nowhere on earth that has the same level of sun safety culture as Australia. It is hammered into you as a kid in Australia, like no hat, no play. You can't go outside at lunchtime at school and go play outside if you don't have your wide brim hat on that's protecting you from the UV exposure. Whereas in the UK, we're just not taught that. I've talked about this before. I went paddleboarding in Australia one day. It was a cloudy day and I thought, oh, it's cloudy, I don't need sunscreen. I got the worst sunburn of my life and you couldn't even see blue sky that day. I remember when I told my wife Maddie about the fact that in the UK on a slightly sunny day, we might only put on SPF 15. She was absolutely shocked by that. She couldn't believe that we were putting on anything under SPF 50. So sorry to sound like an overprotective dad right now. Australia has some of the highest amounts of melanoma, skin cancer, and you don't want to be one of those numbers. So remember, slip, slop, slap, seek, slide, which is the brilliant sun safety campaign created by Cancer Council. In fact, they do a really good sunscreen that you can buy in most supermarkets in Australia. Number 5 is try to order Foster's beer in a pub in Australia. Now, in the UK, for what felt like the majority of my childhood, I would see Foster's beer TV commercials, and they would always supposedly be Australian actors and characters on screen. They were basically very enthusiastic about it being, you know, a brilliant Australian beer. And, you know, this is what we Australians drink. And then I go to Australia and I actually don't see it anywhere. And it can actually be quite hard to find in places. So even if you do go to a pub where you can order it, right? It's fine if you want to drink it, but especially if you're with Australian mates and locals, people will probably have a good laugh if you order a Foster's, especially if the pub doesn't have it. They'll be like, mate, we drink other stuff here. I personally don't drink alcohol anymore, but when I did, I loved beer. So I actually drink non-alcoholic beer, and one of the best no-alcohol beers I've ever had is by Heaps, which is an Australian company. So if you are visiting Australia or New Zealand, definitely pick up some Heaps no-alcohol beer. The stuff is absolutely delicious. Now, ordering a Foster's, it's not a crime, but it does kind of make you look like not only have you not done any research on what you could drink in Australia, but it kind of shows a lack of wanting to sort of assimilate with the community, with the locals, and, you know, maybe try what they have. It is kind of like going to Rome and ordering a Domino's pizza. It's like, you can do it, but why? Why? You could have had a proper one. You can literally just strike up a conversation with the bartender and you can say, what would you recommend? They'll absolutely love you for it. Now, it's funny, these little rules, they kind of got to me at first, right? Because so much of my job as an actor is to be able to pick up on other people's social cues and to be observant around life around you. However, there were certain things that when I moved, I just wasn't picking up, and it felt like I couldn't keep up with everything, and I was just this weird, strange, awkward British guy in the corner. But then I realised, especially since being with my wife, that Australians, they're not looking for perfection. They'll just notice if you try. They'll notice if you're making an effort. And honestly, speaking from experience, Australians are genuinely some of the most welcoming, friendly and caring people I've ever met. Besides my own loved ones in the UK who give me so much love and affection, outside of that circle, I do sometimes feel quite isolated and lonely in the UK. But if you go to Australia, most people will welcome you with open arms. But as long as you're trying to make the effort, they'll just appreciate you for trying. Number 6 is talking loudly on public transport. This is the exact same rule in the UK, right? If you're on a business call, right, and you're shouting down the phone, you're like, Dave, no, I want 10,000 of those beans. It's a big bean contract. People, right, especially in Australia, I reckon they would probably call you out for it. Whereas in the UK, we awkwardly sit at the back of the bus and we sort of just grumble. Whereas in Australia, I genuinely think someone would go up to you and be like, hey mate, enough of that now, thank you. So just be considerate of others. People, you know, we're
Yeah,
all
I can see
struggling
that.
with
I
our
can see
own
that in
problems.
Australia.
You don't want to add to someone's plate by being very, very loud. Number 7 is forget to greet shop staff. Now, when you typically go into a retail store in Australia, there will usually be a very friendly person who says, hello mate, how are you? How you going? Anything I can help you with today? And especially if you're feeling, you know, a little bit shy that day, if you suffer from social anxiety, I know I did when I was at university, but you only need to be polite and friendly back. A little hello, how you going? Is all you need. But this is really important because even if you're a tourist, even if English isn't your first language, just a smile back, even if you can't understand what they're saying, that can go much further than sort of awkwardly ignoring them and hiding behind a shelf in the store. They'll maybe be a little bit offended and they'll probably be thinking, have I done something wrong to them? Same goes for public transport. If you're getting off the bus, it's nice to, you know, do a little wave or say thank you to the bus driver. It's just the rhythm of Australia, and once you get into it, I reckon you'll start enjoying it. Number 8 is say mate in the wrong way. Now in the UK we say mate all the time, but what I've discovered is that we are generally saying mate in a very friendly and chirpy way, if you can call us that. Whereas in Australia, they actually get quite technical with the word, quite scientific even. Aussies can actually use it.
Because he's talking about mate, but I had an issue with bloke. Someone called me bloke in the comment section. I instantly got offended because it just sounds like it's not something good, even if what he said after wasn't bad. But like, I just felt like, I don't know, I just felt like as it was insulting for some reason.
As a term of endearment, or actually they're not happy with you at all. So if they go, mate, you know, good vibes, happy, let's keep going. If they're like, mate, oh, something's happened there.
Well, yes, I guess it's the way you say it makes sense. I guess it's the way you say it, not just like the word itself, the way you say it. Okay, all right.
So it's not the word that does the talking, it's the tone and the delivery. But if you're not from a country that typically uses the word mate, don't feel like you have to, and honestly, I would say don't force it. Speak how you want to speak. Number 9 is tip. You don't need to tip. Well, hey, if you're American, you're probably very happy about that right now, or very shocked. But generally, the staff in Australia, they get paid fairly decently. It's a lot better than other countries, right? Of course, there will be some businesses and practices in Australia who pay their serving staff absolutely terribly, which is not okay at all, but generally Australian staff are paid much better than other parts of the world. Not to mention you don't get that social judgment if you call in sick, whereas you would in the UK. Like with a lot of bosses, they would make you feel bad for calling a sickie. But in Australia, they do add surcharges onto your bill. Particularly if it's a holiday, there will be a holiday surcharge on there. There could be a service charge on there. However, if the service you got was really special, you could tip the person serving you in Australia, and I'm sure they'd be very thankful and very grateful for that. But you almost wouldn't tip too much because they probably think you've forgotten your wallet or something. Number 10 is stand too close to someone in a queue. There are certain cultures where personal space isn't as big of a deal and, you know, people are more comfortable standing closer to each other. I would say in the UK and Australia, people like their personal space a little bit more. So you don't want to get right behind them, and you don't want to get right up in someone's face when you're talking to them. You gotta, you know, imagine there's that personal space bubble. And I say that because when you go to a theme park and it's really busy, or if you're queuing outside for that, you know, new brunch cafe and you're really excited for it, you do sometimes forget these things in the real world, like, oh, I'm gonna just shuffle forward a bit so to keep everything moving, but then you're actually really close to someone and you can smell their shampoo, and it's kind of like, maybe I shouldn't be doing that. So Aussies, they really do appreciate their personal space, and if you respect it, they'll respect yours, so it's win-win.
Yes, going back to the make word, it's the same with bloke, I imagine, because it's how you say it. It's not just the word in itself. So it's the tone in the person's voice. It'll determine what they're trying to tell you, what they're trying to convey in terms of their emotions, if they're angry, if they're well and good, and all that good stuff. That's what the person told me in the comment section with the bloke aspect. And I said, yes, makes sense, it makes sense. So it's the word itself is not bad. It's neutral. Yeah, it's just how someone says it. Yes, he's so right when you talk about when you're calling off from work and you're sick. Sometimes the bosses make you feel guilty for just being sick, and you're not like trying to take a day off and like you just make it up, you actually sick. But for some reason, Some places you work, some bosses make you feel guilty, and sometimes you even have to exaggerate the sickness because you want them to feel sorry for you. That's a good observation. I don't think people talk about that much. It's almost like the elephant in the room. Everyone knows, everyone does it, but no one talks about it. That's a very good observation by him there. Yeah, I've never heard anyone mention that, but I think everybody can relate to that at some point in their work life. I got a membership with only member videos, and I also have early access to videos as well. That's going to be published on YouTube. Join a membership, you won't be disappointed. I bet you. If you want to see that launcher that outro that I do, hit me over on Dyce Reacts by the Buzzin Reactions. This is where I'm going to be making my exit. Until next time, peace out.